This was supposed to be a quick and easy job. We should have learned by now there is no quick and easy. The pipe's in, ready.
Yeah.
Right. The instructions make it look really, really easy. The YouTube videos make it look really easy. Not in this case. Sod it. So good morning. Now, although we want to preserve as much as we can and restore as much as we can within the house without making too many changes, we also have to be realistic with our modern needs. Now, this is the, I won't say last remaining fireplace in the house, because we've still got one in our bedroom where the chimney's still capped off. This one is a working open fire in the one bedroom, which up until this flue liner going in week ago, just over a week ago, was being used. But we do have to be realistic in the fact that an open fire just isn't efficient, it isn't cost effective, and even when it was roaring away, there wasn't a huge heat coming off it. Dawn touched upon the subject a video ago, whenever it was, and she said that we'd bought a small second-hand stove. So the plan is that that goes in here, and then it can just glow away all day long, giving a lot of heat. An open fire needs a lot of maintenance. You put some logs on, they burn, you got to keep an eye on it, ready to put the next lot of logs on so it doesn't go out. So although we would love to keep this cast iron grate and an open fire, a stove has to go in, which means this has to come out. Now, being reactive, which we are rather than proactive, the fact that the fire was being used up until the liner going in, the liner's now a hindrance in the need of getting the grate out. But I'm sure I can work around it with a little bit of a bend here and a stretch there. I'm not sure how this is going to come out. It's loose. We can't see any bolts into the stonework, so we'll see how that goes. Now, we did have a measure of this opening, and this opening across here is 430 mil. The stove needs 410 mil, so the width is there. These stones here though stick out more than anticipated, so that could prove an issue. The bar along the back there seems to be built into the stones, so I'm wondering if this has just been built out and the actual side of the walls are hidden. Well, there's a hook the eye attached to. Looking at that, I'm hoping this has all been built up. That's certainly in there, and that one hasn't got one. So I've brought Dawn up for Dawn's opinion. Now we're trying to fathom, let me move that. We're trying to work out if this section of stone has been just put in place like a column with the edge of the, there's a big stone in there, it's hard to show. There's a big stone there.
Here?
Yeah.
This one?
No, the upright one, that one, yeah.
Yeah.
And then have the ones to the right of it just been built up against the side.
It looks like it, because this back wall,
the back wall's not real.
it goes behind. It's not.
Let's have a whiz round there.
This is built in front of the back.
Oh, it is.
There is a gap.
And the back of it isn't
But this
the
side's
real.
different.
Yeah. And the back of it isn't the real back. These will be hard to show you. So there's the true back of the chimney, and then it's been built up with lime and stone, which is exactly what they'd done in the living room.
Been narrowed to take that grate.
And that just comes down, and the one in the living room, we literally just pulled it all out and ended up with a very upright back of the fire hole.
See, this lintel, you can't really feel it all the way.
A long way.
Yeah, so this could be
a facade.
Yeah, this, because none of that's tied.
It doesn't seem to be tight. Yeah,
No,
if I
until we get
uncover
that
it,
off,
see what
but-
the bottom ones are doing.
Because none of that looks tied in.
The right hand side, we got to be very mindful of the fact that
There's another.
probably behind the green upright of the fire surround is the chimney from downstairs coming up around the side of it. So we can't just go in willy-nilly pulling stones out. This was supposed to be a quick and easy job. We should have learned by now there is no quick and easy. Little chat, little discuss, and what we decided is to happen is we're going to take the wooden fire surround off to see if there's no plaster behind that fire surround, so that may instantly spell out to us
There might be on that side.
what's gone on. It is possible that just above it, well, it's not possible when you put a torch up, the chimney actually comes out. I say the chimney, the fire opening. So it is possible that all of this was put in place for this particular fire grate. But before we know more, I'm going to have to get the wooden fire surround off, and then I'll take all of the plaster off the front of the stones and see what's going on. So at the moment there's nothing blindingly obvious which tells us that this is a built up section. the more I look at it now, the more I think it could be that's how it was when the place was built. The lintel, which is here, the big stone lintel, comes out to there, and this side at the moment, oh here we go, comes to there. Now it's not much of an overhang if this is actually built up sides. I would have expected the lintel, like if that's there, you'd expect it to overhang this much as it does at the moment. So I'll chip away at this, get rid of that, be able to see more, and then we're in two minds whether this is a job a lot bigger than just getting the stove in, or we wonder if it's a job that will become a lot bigger than just getting a stove in. So with that in mind, and the purpose of this being to get the stove in ready for winter within the bedroom, is the stove can live on the hearth, and this can be addressed at the beginning of next year when the stove isn't needed as much as it currently will be. So you really can see the edge of what I'm going to call the original building, which was there, or fireplace, and then you can see the addition of, or the additional stone column that they put in to narrow the fire hole to be able to put this particular grate in. This lintel actually sits a good 3 inches onto this stone below it, and structurally that's as you would expect for the end of a wall. You got a smaller stone, a larger stone, a smaller stone, which will go that way, a larger stone, smaller stone will go that way, a larger stone again. So we've had a chat and a look and a hum and a ha. At the end of the day, the purpose was to get the stove in. With these cheeks so narrow, we can't get the stove in, and knowing that the cheeks were probably added afterwards for that style of grate, we decided we're going to take these out now and see what can of worms that'll open up for us. These are a little bit loose anyway. I'm going to take it slowly, although this looks like a nice ended part of the wall and also that side. I'm still going to go steady just to make sure there are no surprises along the way. Maybe it was a little bit of wishful thinking on my part. That was going to be my rubble sack, and it's full. Since I started, I now have a huge pile of stones, and I've done 2 completely full however many litre trugs, big trugs. So now it's time to get those downstairs and outside. Out the window would be a nice option, but you can guarantee a cat will be wandering past, or Rex the dog will decide he's going to come and have a look to see what's going on. And then I'll give it a hoover up and see what we've got. Definitely the right decision though to take that out and open it up. So without really going to town on pushing it back onto the wall, which it's going to have to come off again anyway, it does look a little bit different to how it looked earlier, but also how we think it will have looked at the beginning. The fire surround seems to fit the fireplace. We'll never know. Definitely worth taking those made up cheeks out. That's really good. The lintel's lovely, and that sits on those sides of the wall really nicely. Very little repair work to do, although this will be on show, so at some point it'll be repaired, whitewashed, whatever happens to it. We haven't thought that far ahead yet. So this lovely but unloved little log burner was an absolute bargain from a friend. It's a little bit rusty, but with so many different how to restore a log stove or a wood burning stove videos on YouTube, saw this one and thought, well, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. I'm not going to go absolutely nuts and take it back to just pure cast iron and steel. I'm going to take the surface rust off it, and then I will put the stove black on it. Now, with reference to a couple of comments, somebody said, why don't I make a couple of workhorses, and then I won't have to be kneeling down and bending down all the time on the floor. Well, this has been hung up on the wall of the shed, I think really since we got here. So a really good idea, thank you very much. Because as I was carrying the stove out, I saw this on the wall and I thought, oh, I wonder. So we will see. And then secondly, a good while ago we had a comment and somebody said that they used to manufacture the original Workmate before Black & Decker or Stanley, I'm not sure who now owns it, bought the company. And just to bore you, my dad has one of the original Workmate workbenches. So original, it still has its original number underneath at the bottom. There you go, a little bit of boring info for you there. Now, very annoyingly, just unscrewing this screw and the head's broken off, which could cause a problem because there it is. Now, they appear to be brass, so they're very soft. This one was loose anyway, this plate. The glass is intact, so that's good. All of the glass seal will need replacing. But that is annoying. Right, so just before I try a little bit of, well, the trade names or brand name is Zebo, and give it a clean with some acetone, get the dust off. I just want to make sure that I've taken enough off it for it to look nice. Now, I did try to remove this little brass knob. I would imagine it's screwed onto the bar, which is the glass wash, the air wash feature of it. But all it does, it twists the bar, so I didn't want to go mad. So I'll just use some Brasso and a cloth. I should be using a lint-free cloth, but as it's just really a test more than anything else, I just wanted to get some on quickly. Just with a bit of kitchen towel. So with copious amounts of WD-40 on the other three brass screws which hold the plate in to retain the glass in the door, this morning I thought, right, okay, I'll go steadily and a little tighten, a little undo, yeah, it's moving, and the head came off. The remaining three. So now I have three brass studs in a cast iron door. So the kettle of fish, which I could have done without, is now here. So that leads me on to stud extractors. Never ever used a stud extractor before. The instructions make it look really easy. The YouTube videos make it look really easy. So there we go. We've now got 1, 2, 3, 4 parts of the screw. There's 3 of the heads there, and they just sheared clean off. So as my father-in-law would say, something that should be easy has turned into a right career. Now, so what I need to do with this stud extractor, I need to centre punch, or as close to the centre as I can, the remaining part of the bolt, drill down a 2mm drill into the centre, and then this stud extractor is a left hand thread. I don't know if it's focusing. So basically as it screws in, it's going to screw in tighter and tighter and tighter, which in effect tries to turn the bolt the undo direction, left. We'll see if it works. And that was the drill bit breaking. So it goes from bad to worse, really, because that's just made it a whole lot harder. So I'll deal with the 4th one when I get to it. Right, so it does say to use a spanner on the top of these extractor studs, but I actually can't get it started. So I'm just going in very gently, and then I'll use the drill as the spanner. That feels tight. Now in the reviews I've read that these can break, and a bit like the drill bit getting broken in there makes life a whole lot harder. Not a lot happening. There we go. Well, so the reviews were right. They do break. It wasn't all the reviews. Some of the reviews were fantastic. This is what you need. It does the job. Not in this case. Sod it. So what I went with, and it's all hindsight, the 3.5mm drill bit takes me just to the very edge of the brass thread. So then I'm hoping I can just knock this out. And same for that one. The one, strangely, this one was the one which had the stud extractor broken off in, and I was able to drill through the stud extractor, so they must be quite soft. And then this one, this is the one which has the drill, the little bit of broken drill in it, which is very hard. So after a lot of faffing, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 drill bits broken and a broken stud extractor, I finally won. Now at the end of the day, it's my heavy-handedness I think that breaks the drill bits, because whenever you look through my drill bit collection, I've never got any of the small ones. They're all broken and missing. So that is down to me, but I'm really pleased, because that would have just been an absolute nightmare if I couldn't have sorted that out. So let's carry on. So the door seal I bought directly from the manufacturer, so I know it's for this model. I know the size is right, I know the length's right, because it's not something I want to get wrong. Yeah, really happy with that. So the door's on, with the new door seal, the rope seal. Wow, it was so hard to close where it was so fat. So I gave that a squash down. That's been closed overnight, and does close a lot easier now. But that's a good thing, that it's a good seal. Now this stove came with a couple of bits missing. The first piece being is called the throat plate, possibly called the baffle plate, but I bought a throat plate. That sits at the top. I'll show you that in a second. So I bought that separately, and it was missing the log retainer, which sits just inside the door at the front of the grate. And Dawn actually came up with a really good idea on how to solve that problem of it missing. So as you look down the chimney, you can see straight into the grate, which means the second you light your fire, all your heat's going to go up your chimney pipe, very much like having an open fire. And that's what this throat plate does. Let me try and get it in one-handed. There we go. So now you can't see the grate, and what happens is your flames happen on your fire grate. They hit here and then they go up and out the chimney at the top. So that was an extra purchase, but the log retainer was missing. We knew something didn't look quite right, and looking through the parts list for this model, there's the log retainer. So we needed something. Now when we first got here, we bought a fire grate for the fire in the living room, because all of that had burnt away, and Dawn remembered that and came up with the idea of using this as a log retainer, and it fits perfectly. I just cut that off with the angle grinder and put some black on it, tidied up the edges a little bit so they're not sharp. So really pleased with that. So now it's got all of the Zebo stove black on it. That stuff smells. We know it smells from when I did it in the kitchen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to light this out here to bake that on a little bit to get rid of some of the smell. Right, it looks more than a small fire, but it actually isn't. It's only some kindling burning. Looking good. We'll see how it goes. a little bit up against it today. It's Friday afternoon, and the last thing you saw was a successful small burn outside just to bake on the stove black that I'd put on. Once it had all cooled down, the plan was I'd bring it upstairs and make a start yesterday afternoon. To notice, the glass had a very small crack in it, which is no good whatsoever. So jumped on the phone, and this was, by the time it had cooled down fully, this was, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So jumped on the phone to the local stove company and said, if I bring a door down, how quickly could you do glass? Tuesday. What if I just want the bit of glass and not you to fit it? Tuesday. Okay. Bearing in mind, Sean could come tomorrow to finish off putting the cowl on and unblocking the pipe at the top. Not that I've heard from him yet. So Dawn did find up in County Sligo a company. I phoned him at 4:15 yesterday afternoon. He said be here at 9 in the morning. We were there this morning. Bearing in mind it's Friday, it's a shopping day. So we were there at 9 o'clock. By 9:20 the glass had been replaced and fitted in the door of the stove. So that's a good job. But I am now really behind it, because from there we then had to go and pick the shopping up, and then we just had a visitor. Mitch came to pay us a visit. So he's giving us an update on how he's getting on in his house. And now's now. So up against it today. I want to get this pipe cut. I want to get the pipes on. The register plate I cut yesterday. So this goes up in there up the chimney. So that stops heat from the stove going up into the chimney and wasted going up an empty chimney. So that's going to go there-ish. So I'm hoping, although I've already messaged Sean and said I'm ready for you, I'm hoping I can message him again and say, everything's done, I just need you to get on the roof. We'll see how it all goes. So with the fire in position, what I did find was that the pipe, although it's upright left to right, it leans back ever so slightly. It's not vertical. Now if Sean had been coming today, being Saturday, we were going to make do with that, and that would have all filled properly. it still would have all packed down with fire cement and everything else. As Sean hasn't been today, being Saturday, Monday morning I'm going to shoot out and I'm going to get two 45-degree bends. Now what that will do is bring the stove out onto the hearth a little bit, and then means we can get this dead upright, left, right, backwards, forwards, and it'll also give more heat instantly into the room instead of going up and hitting the register plate which is there before it then comes out. So unfortunately it's not lit, which is a crying shame, but it does look nice. It looks, I think, nicer in person than it does on camera. So it's raining outside, really raining outside as I look out the window, and it's due to rain all day tomorrow as well. I've not heard from Sean. He did say it'd just be a quick job and he'd pop down after work one evening. With the shorter days now and it getting, or starting to get dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I don't know when he'll pop down after work. He will turn up, he always turns up. He hasn't let us down yet. Fingers crossed it'll be one evening this week, or maybe an hour one day, early week. We'll see how it goes. My clock stopped, don't know why. It could just have dust in it, so I'm going to take that apart, give that an oil, hopefully get that going, as it's just a day to be in. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, commenting, subscribing, liking, to all our members, and super thanks, and buy me a coffee, and we will see you next Sunday. Bye bye.